What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Summit. I'm Antonio Perez, joined as always by Danny Code, DC UPenn's finest. Unfortunately, Chris could not make it today. It's birthday week, whole bunch of things going on. He's coming back from Chicago, so he won't be able to join us. But we do have our final division prediction today. We are talking about the AFC West, so the Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. Of course, we're going to do all that. If we have some time, we might talk some college football. Sorry about that. But yeah, if we have some time, we'll talk about some college football playoff predictions because the first year of the 12-team playoff could be interesting. Me and Danny might have the first taste of a Penn State making the playoff, maybe. But
ever.
Yeah. But of course, before we get into anything, I want to remind you, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this on audio platforms, make sure you leave a like, 5-star review, and download the episode if you really enjoyed it. Before we even get into Summit's Plummets, the Brandon Ayuk news literally dropped minutes before I hit record. The 49ers will be hanging on to Brandon Ayuk on a 4-year, $120 million contract per Adam Schefter. That would make him roughly $30 million a year, which is the same as Amon-Ra St. Brown, which, fair. I don't think he's as good as Amon-Ra, but, you get what I'm saying. That's about where he should be. And Danny, who is obviously a Steelers fan, has been waiting on this Ayuk news for a long time.
Yeah.
Just to see if he's going to do something. Not even so much as the point is he going to be a Steeler at this point. But
so here's the thing. Actually, this is my summit. It's not. It's my. People are gonna be surprised. Why is it your summit if Ayuk is not on the Steelers? My reason that that's my summit, him not being on the Steelers. Number one, I think you'd have to massively overpay to get him on the Steelers. You're gonna have to send a first round pick, and you're gonna have to pay him a $35 million contract, which I don't think he's up there with the guys that are getting paid $30 million in the NFL right now. He's right behind them, but I don't think he's up there. I think the Niners slightly overpaid for the contract. I think they kind of dodged a bullet here. I think that Brandon Ayuk kind of used all these other teams as leverage in negotiating a contract. I don't think he ever actually wanted to leave. Think about it. If you wanted a bigger contract, if you really wanted to leave, would you be out there going on social media saying, "Yo, Ryan Clark, let me hop on the podcast and let me say I want to go to Pittsburgh or Washington"?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, you're definitely right.
It doesn't make sense to me. It was also a little bit kind of questionable for me. I don't think the Steelers are strictly a wide receiver away from winning. And you saw the Dolphins at Tyreek Hill when they're quote unquote a wide receiver needed. Pittsburgh is not a wide receiver away. Neither is Washington Commanders. The Browns, you could argue that they would be, but the teams that were interested in Ayuk weren't willing to pay the price. So I think that it only made sense. And Pittsburgh came close, but I think his intentions were to stay in out west with the 49ers, which is fine by me. I think this also gives the Steelers some time to make a move if they want to, a wide receiver before the season. I think Roman Wilson is going to be a really, really good piece for them. I think that Van Jefferson might be starting, but I would love a Courtland Sutton move in the next week or two, honestly. But if not, it's okay. I think you roll out what you got right now. Courtland Sutton would be a great move for them, though, especially with his connection with Russell Wilson. And my only issue is he's a very similar archetype to Pickens.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you're talking about the Niners tactics of, maybe he never even really wanted to leave. It was more, negotiation by him and his agent, but I think for the Niners, really good to get this out now because you were actually about to roll out week 1, not so more without Ayuk, but you got to figure out what's going on with Trent Williams. Trent Williams has no guaranteed money left on his contract. He wants a new deal. So it's best, you're going to need at least a week notice, try to figure that out more than anything. And positional value wise, they are working backwards. You would probably want to figure out Purdy's extensions next year, but you'd probably want to figure out Williams' money. And then if you had no money, then you'd have to trade Ayuk, and then you could pay Purdy next year, but they're kind of working backwards because that's just kind of how things work in the Kyle Shanahan system. Your receivers need to be really good, then your line, and then he took Jimmy Garoppolo to a Super Bowl. So you
Because
can kind of
Hemi
have
and
anyone
Brandon
out there.
Ayuk accepted the same offer that's been on the table for the last 2 weeks. His holding did not alter any part of his 4-year contract. So the holding ended basically him getting no leverage. The Niners won.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're getting paid at the same level as a top 5 receiver in the game, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're getting the same money, or you're in the same ballpark as guys. You would say you probably have no business being in their ballpark. So I would say the Niners did a good job holding their ground money wise, and then I think Ayuk did you know, I'm sure the number was lower at one
Man,
point. So
if we're going to be honest, Ayuk's probably worth like 25, 26, but he's playing out in LA. Or not LA, San Francisco, out in California. He's going to get the high tax rate, so he wants the adjustment of his contract. In reality, that's probably what it came down to.
well, I think he's a high 20s guy. I think 28, 29 is fine. So like 30 is
Yeah,
like whatever. It's just here's the thing. So I was saying the same thing with CD Lamb. I was thinking about this. It's like, okay, if Jefferson was getting paid what he was getting paid, then I'm fine with CD Lamb making like $35 million or whatever it is. But in a world where Justin Jefferson gets paid 35, it's like we can't give you 35, even though you might be worth CD Lamb could be worth like 37 million, but he's not in this world because Justin Jefferson didn't take a $40 million contract, which I'm gonna be honest, I think he should have because I just think that highly of him. But back to Ayuk, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think this is the best case scenario when it comes to all teams involved. Steelers
I
can kind
agree.
of just march forward with Pickens. Hopefully, Roman Wilson will be ready by week 1. I don't know if you know any word on that, but I'm a big fan of him. Rolling out with a vet like Van Jefferson, it's not the strongest group, but we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, have the defense to back you guys up. The Niners, they're going to have their full offense in rhythm. Hopefully, if they can figure something out with Trent Williams. And of course, if that offense is fully healthy, it's the best in the league. It's the most efficient in the league. We know how that goes. Patriots were out of the running for a while. Commanders were out of the running for a while, so they've kind of been settled. But yeah, kudos to everybody involved for not overpaying and if giving, especially the teams that were going to trade for him because you were going to have to trade for him. You were going to have to give up assets and then probably pay him more than what he wanted. I'd assume there's a slight hometown discount there, like just ever so slightly, but nonetheless, that's good money for Ayuk. Congratulations to him, I would
Yeah.
say. I would say, if that was technically your summit, do you just want to roll into your plummet if you even have one?
Yeah, my plummet is that the way the media is treating the Colorado. People are acting like, oh, this team is not that good. They don't have 2 of the best college football players on the planet. The fact that Deion is, I don't think they think Deion's that great of a coach. So I think people forgot because the end of the year last year how good Deion Sanders is the head coach. They forgot how actually great this team is, and he got some dogs in the portal. He got some dogs recruited. So I'm really happy with Deion. I think he's going to show the world tonight when they blow out North Dakota State.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Carson Wentz reference school. Come on, man.
yeah. So I don't know if Colorado is going to be like screwing around getting into any like college football playoff or like winning the Big 12 or anything. But when you look at this team last year, they had the skill positions to get things done. They started out 4-0. Hunter gets hurt. They run through Oregon, USC. Yeah, they're losing those, but then you lose that 3rd straight game to Stanford where you blew the lead. Like that was really tough. But I think this with the revamped offensive line, I think that's kind of like the difference between them maybe being 4-8 and like 7-5 maybe. Which if you go 7-5 in your second year of you're rebuilding a team that had 1 win before Deion got there, I think they're on a great trajectory. So I definitely like that one. And people need to like pump the brakes on North Dakota State University. I know there was a good run between like the Wentz Trey Lance era where like they were out of this world, but there's a reason why they kind of haven't been talked about that much since. You know them because of that. But the last time they played at FBS school, they lost to like like 5-7 Arizona or whatever it was. Like they lost to a pretty mediocre FBS team. Now you're going against most likely a first round quarterback, most likely a top 5 pick in next year's draft, whether it's corner or wide receiver, whatever he chooses, in Travis Hunter. Deion Sanders, who is I like him as a coach. I really do. I honestly, even more than like a mind of the game, big CEO type of guy, can rally the troops, those who play for him like him. Even that, I forget the safety's name. I think his last name's Wood, who like, whenever it's famously known, like people think Deion's like an ass because he told everybody, look, just transfer because I got guys coming that are going to play. Wood was one of those guys on Colorado who was like, no, I'm here. Like, I'm going to compete. He competed, won the starting job, and he actually had a pick week 1 against TCU and then had the interception to win the game against Colorado State, which, that game was just awesome. That game was so awesome. And probably the best film I think Shedeur Sanders has put on tape so far. The TCU game was really good too, but yeah, I'm super excited. We're watching that after for sure. My summit is like, I think this is the most hype I've ever been for college football ever, because I think it's mainly because of the game. But it's kind of like, this is going to be my last semester at Temple. I want to be like really involved with the team now that I've played with this team on our college football 25. I know the names a lot. I'm really hyped for Penn State because if Drew Aller is like even an ounce of the hypotheticals that Penn State fans make him out to be, then like, they're probably going to make the playoff and they have a real shot at beating either Michigan or Ohio State. They're not beating both of them, but we're getting one of those this year for sure. And then Texas A&M, Wegman is a dark horse for Heisman. I wouldn't even say dark horse. He could probably win it. I'm overall, I'm super excited. Ohio State kind of doing the Michigan method. Everybody's running it back. Upgraded a quarterback. Well, kind of just been JJ McCarthy over there, but you upgrade to Will Howard, who I wouldn't say is like, he could win the Heisman just by being best quarterback, best team type of thing, but like, he's not like that level of player, if that makes sense. Like, he's not the type of guy to have a Heisman moment. You know what I mean? But he's definitely good enough. Way better than McCord, I would say. So I'm super excited for this season. I want to see how Jalen Milroe develops. I'll definitely have an eye on Alabama. He reminds me a lot of a younger Jalen Hurts. I would say he's probably a little bit more explosive, but I think his passing game might be even farther behind than a young Jalen Hurts, which is saying something, I must say. Even Danny will admit that, as the CEOs of Hurts FC. Those first 2 years at Alabama weren't pretty throwing the ball. There's probably a million things I'm excited about this college football season, but those were kind of like the main thing. Oh, and then Nebraska has Dylan Raiola, who is baby Mahomes. We'll definitely have our eye over there. Yeah, I put they were like, who are your teams this year? And mind you, I'm a big enthusiast of, you can have several favorite college football teams, because like, you probably go to one school, you've been rooting for another, and then like, there's too many teams to have one. Yeah, you know. So I said, like the 3 teams I mentioned: Temple home team, or Temple, I go there; Penn State home team; Texas A&M is a love-hate relationship. And then I said, I'll have a teensy eye on Nebraska. And Danny was like, I don't know, chat. That pick's a little Mahomey. I was like, it is. And then Plummet, can't say I have one. Derek Carr is still employed. There we go. That's the Plummet. My boy needs to start. Me and Danny were on the way to the Phillies watching the QB schools breakdown of Spencer Rattler.
Derek Carr, you are a Minnesota Viking.
Talk soon. We'll talk soon. That could be a possibility. But
that really boosts Jetta's fantasy value too.
Oh, does it? And I got hit. Oh my God. Hold up. Let's go triple summit, or another summit. I had Jefferson at 9, overthinking masterclass by the boys.
Crazy.
And then I was pretty hype about my other draft. I got AJ Brown, but at 6, which is pretty normal. But nonetheless, on every single episode, you will see me wearing some kind of hat, whether it's a snapback, whether it's a dad style hat. I always got to have something to complete the outfit. And the only place where I get my hats is lids.com. Lids.com has so many different brands, and of course they have a bunch of different styles. Like I just said, it could be dad hat, snapback, it could be fitted, it could be Velcro back. Whatever you want, they got it. And with the NFL season coming up, I know you're going to want to rock and represent your favorite squad. Me personally, I'm a big Eagles guy, and I love this 47 brand throwback hat that I got from lids.com. Or if you're more of a snapback guy, I also got this NBA champions Boston Celtics new era cap from lids.com as well. If you like either of those hats and you feel like you want one to represent your squad, click the link in the description below. Whether it's new era or 47, both links will take you right to lids.com. And the best thing about Lids, they always have some type of deal going on their website. So make sure you click that link and check out any deals they got going on at lids.com. Let's get into these division predictions. The Kansas City Chiefs have a over underline of 11.5. Now, they're for sure winning this division. Hence, the title of this episode will be called AFC West Predictions, who's coming in second. But to talk about the Chiefs for a second, Danny, 11.5. Let's keep it, I don't want to ramble too much. What they getting 12 or more wins?
I think the Chiefs have the possibility to win 15 plus games this season. I'm not even going to try to overrate this team. There's not often times where a Super Bowl champion improves in the offseason. They lost L'Jarius Sneed is probably their biggest loss. But outside of that, they're returning pretty much the whole squad. And I love it. And people might even argue L'Jarius Sneed was a little bit overrated last year. He was a great zone corner.
Yeah, he's definitely a zone guy, and he didn't want to leave, according to him, I guess. Well, you still have McDuffie, so you still have
one of the two lockdown guys.
Yeah, you still have one of those guys.
So my thing is, not many teams upgraded as a Super Bowl champion, and they did. So I'm gonna say the Chiefs go over, and it's not. I think they can win up to 15 plus games. Because the sky's the limit when you have Patrick Mahomes and you go and add Hollywood Brown and you go and add Xavier Worthy and you still have Travis Kelce. The sky is the limit for this team. And like Patty Mahomes said, I'm trying to three-peat. He thinks that three-peat's possible, and I'm with him. I think a three-peat is in the realm of possibility for this team. He's one of the best to ever do it. He is one of the best coaches to ever do it. So I think they'll go over.
Yeah, I agree. Over is, I think they'll go over. Worst case, okay, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate as to why maybe they won't. So, defensive drop back EPA was phenomenal last year. They were third in the league in EPA per drop back on defense. They were second in success rate. So, an elite secondary. Losing Sneed, it's a little tough. I think you could work around it, though, because McDuffie was absolutely incredible down the stretch last year, and he's one of the league's best corners as well. Where I think we might have to have a little chat is defending the run and running the ball itself. While Pacheco is a strong back, he's not the most efficient guy in the world. And I'm not going to say it's going to be a crazy downfall, but they were 18th in rush EPA and 26th in rush success rate. But when the offense is no issue when you have Mahomes, Kelce, and we'll talk about their upgrades on offense. Their defensive rushing EPA was 28th in the league, and the success rate per rush was 15th in the league. So the success rate was about league average, and the EPA per play was 28th. So that's just something, if they do crumble, it's something that we could probably look back on and see, hey, that's probably why. But most of the time, when Mahomes is on the other side of the ball, they're not running the ball that much anyway, so that could be a possibility. But then again, if they're throwing more against you and you have a higher drop back EPA on defense, then that's a good thing. But let's talk about these weapon upgrades. You got Hollywood Brown. You got Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice doesn't seem like he's going to be suspended at this point. And you and I were both big fans of him down the stretch and in the Super Bowl last year. You have Kelce who looked strong in the playoffs in January, February. I don't know if that's going to translate to another because he looked rough in the regular season. I'm not going to lie. But
man, they got a guy who I think might transition to tight end in the long run, Juju Smith-Schuster.
You think he'll? I don't know if he'll weigh enough to be a tight end.
Maybe he'll not weigh enough, but I think he could play like a strictly power slot.
I say you have Kels. You have Noah Gray, who I'm actually one of the backup tight ends I'm a bigger fan of.
Yeah, I think he's a very good backup tight end. But I think
Yep.
Juju will have a role in the Chiefs offense. And if anyone can figure out a way to use him, it's definitely Andy Reid. I think Juju has some goods left in him. He's not cooked completely.
Yeah, and even so, even if he doesn't play a pivotal role, I respect those top three receivers. I respect Rasheed Rice, who had a really good rookie season. Hollywood Brown, yeah, he's not the most memorable guy, but like he was pretty decent with Lamar. I'm not saying he was like transcendent Pro
He's good with
Bowler.
Kyler, dude.
He had drops. He was decent with Kyler. What do you think Mahomes is going to do with them? And then you have Xavier Worthy. Like if anybody on this planet is built to play with Patrick Mahomes, besides Travis Kelsey, and Tyreek Hill, then it's Xavier Worthy. So
Man,
super excited
Hollywood
about that.
Brown is right there with him, dude.
Yes, agree. Yeah, like these are dudes that like, yeah, they don't. At the end of the day, we're gonna be like, yeah, Mahomes won with this cast. This is great, but like at the end of the day, I think these are guys that like Mahomes would like. Of course, I mean Mahomes would love to have Tyreek Hill back. I bet, but
I'll tell you one thing though.
you know,
So the Chiefs had the slowest offense in the NFL last year. All of their they didn't take many deep shots at all, and actually, I think Nagy completely was throwing like screens behind the line of scrimmage. They weren't taking shots, which was not Nagy's game when he was first run with the Chiefs. But now, when you got these guys who can run down the field, you're going to see a lot more of that rookie Mahomes. You're going to see a lot more of not check down, let my guy run. But you'll see probably a good mix of both now because now they have the cast to do both.
yeah, and that really is the beauty of it, and that actually brings it to a good point. They were eighth in success rate per dropback last year, and then they were 12th in EPA per play. So like the efficiency was a little bit more down, but they were winning their reps. So like you said, it's like, oh, we're not beating you with these deep shots, but hey, Mahomes has come to the point where I'm just gonna take what you give me, and then imagine next year with the spacing, the vertical spacing that Worthy and Hollywood Brown can provide. He's gonna be able to chop your linebackers up using Pacheco, using Kelsey, and then he's gonna be able to take the top off your defense with Worthy, with Hollywood Brown, and then all the intermediate stuff. Rasheed Rice is gonna eat that up. One of one of my favorite receivers going over the middle, whether it's drags, digs, deep post, slants, things like that. He's got such sure hands on those type of routes. So yeah, like and look, this is gonna sound like a huge Chiefs glaze session, but tell us where we're wrong. Like they're gonna have the goods to do it all, and if he three-peats while keeping on the trajectory that he is statistically, yeah, there will be conversations because he's gonna have 4 rings. He's gonna have the only three-peat ever. Brady never did that. And actually, if he wins the Super Bowl MVP again, he's already tied Brady in 4 tries, which I don't think is talked about enough. But it definitely heats up that GOAT debate even more. Maybe not like just yet because Mahomes still needs to get the statistical greatness that Brady has with 80,000 passing yards and 600 touchdowns or whatever it is. But yeah, that three-peat could hold heavy amount of weight. At least it does in the basketball one. But yeah, definitely excited. You have anything else on the Chiefs?
Now, let's not glaze them that hard.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that whole segment was a little Mahomey, but we can move on to the Raiders. So Vegas Raiders, their line is 6.5. I think they won 7-10 last year, if I'm not mistaken. I think they won 2 of their last 3 or 3 of their last 4 with Antonio Pierce, Long Beach Poly GOAT Antonio Pierce at head coach, who then made the rare interim to full-time head coach hire, which usually you don't do that, but like with him, he's so Raider that like you had to do it. So I definitely like the hire. I think they upgraded quarterback. Not even for like Minshew isn't that smart with the ball, but he is not an entire statue like Aiden O'Connell is. So I call it an upgrade, and he beat him in the quarterback battle. So when you beat a guy who was already there, who finished the season last year, I think that says something. What are you thinking for the silver and black? 6.5 wins. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm taking the over here. I don't think the Raiders are that good, but I do think that I love the coach. I love the defense. I love the passion that they play, and I think they have the tools on offense to get some wins. Zamir White is a young back. He has not that much tread on his tires. Brock Bowers, I think, is already a top 10 tight end in the league.
Hey. Yeah, I mean, talk soon. He's on both my fantasy teams. Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Where he's on, I think he's on. He might be only gonna be on one of them. I think.
And Mr. Devontae Adams is still a top 5 receiver in the NFL. So
top 5-ish, somewhere around there.
Ish, yeah. I mean, you want to say him
I
at 7?
have him at 7. If he has a solid quarterback, he's probably like 5. So
whatever you want to put him at, he's in your definitive.
He's one of them ones.
So.
Let's just put it that way. He's one of them ones.
I think the elite class of wide receivers is top 7. So after that's a little bit of fall off. So that's where I'm saying that Brandon Ayuk fall off is. So
yeah, Ayuk's probably. I mean, Ayuk was probably like, if he had one of like the upper echelon guys, he could be in that conversation. But there are several dudes in that top 7 who don't have upper echelon. You put
Devontae Adams on the 49ers, and I promise you he puts up 1,400 yards.
Yeah, you know, it's like they're a reason why the elite are the elite because they're quarterback proof. I think IU could be probably quarterback proof.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, his best years are with Purdy because Purdy's much better than Garoppolo. So maybe he's quarterback proof to an extent, but like Jefferson's quarterback proof, Alex Smith or Tyreek Hill. Yeah, all them. But yeah, back to the Raiders. Like you said, White, who I have on both my fantasy teams, is a good young back. I think he's going to do wonders this year with, not the greatest quarterback play, so he's probably going to get a lot of touches. Of course, you have Devontae Adams. You got Jacoby Myers, who's one of the most slept on wide receiver 2s in the league. I think he's really good, so they have a good wide receiver duo there. They have a good tight end duo, Michael Mayer, who was really picking it up towards the end of the year. He's probably going to play a lot more true tight end, where I can see Bowers playing a lot of power slot, like you were talking about with Juju. I could see Bowers lining up almost all over the field, almost like a wing, fullback, slot, maybe some outside reps. I doubt that when you have those 2 guys at receivers, but I think Bowers is going to be huge for this offense. And he's going to be, I think he's a quarterback's best friend type of guy. I think Minshew is going to be able to find him. Again, Minshew is one of the better backers in the league. I know I've had harsh things to say about him in the past because I watched him suit up for the Eagles and he made Jalen Hurts go back out there on a bruised shoulder, which kind of made me upset. But nonetheless, looking at some drop back numbers, 23rd in EPA per drop back, and then 20th in drop back success rate. I think it can only go up from there. Especially for a good 2/3 of the season, it was Garoppolo, and then into Aiden O'Connell. This year, it will be Gardner Minshew, who I think is better than Garoppolo, and then, if need be, Aiden O'Connell. So I think at bare minimum, it'll at least be a top 20 passing offense, and then rushing, I think it can go up from there. It wasn't an efficient rushing game last year. But, I mean, talking about their defense, though, they were 11th in both defensive dropback EPA per play and success rate. And then they were 8th in rushing EPA on defense. Max Crosby has been excellent over the last couple of years. Definitely. And it's funny, I have to say dark horse defensive player of the year candidate because the top 3 guys just like don't like sharing the award. Or Micah Parsons hasn't got one yet, but he doesn't like giving up his spot when it comes to winning that award.
Ayuk will be paid $47 million over the next 215 days.
Random, but nice. But back to the Raiders defense, you have Crosby, of course, always going to be a defensive player of the year candidate. Tyree Wilson, who started to pick it up a little bit last year, slowly but sure, not on like a numerical standpoint, but kind of finding his way. And then like I just said, the drop back numbers are 11th. They're a borderline top 10 defense, at least, secondary wise, which is pretty, that's I think that's transitionable. So I think their run defense is going to be even stronger than it was last year. And on top of that, they're going to upgrade their passing game. So I also have the over. Again, nothing strong. Like, I'm not trying to make it out to like, I think they can like maybe compete for that 7th spot. Maybe they'll be in like the talks for that 7th seed, but like really not. No, because you have divisions like the AFC North, the AFC South that are probably going to hog up all of those wild card spots. Even the AFC East, you have the Dolphins and Jet. Like, those are 3 divisions where, well, AFC North, they're all going to compete. AFC South, at least 3 of those teams are going to compete. And then I guess in like a bizarro world, if Will Levis like really hits a stride, then maybe the Titans can, but we won't do that. And then the AFC East has 3 teams that are going to compete. So I don't think anyone from this division besides the Chiefs will make the playoffs, but I think this will be a big morale, like 7-8 wins. I could see that.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, yeah. I don't know if there's really much more to them. Again, I like the head coaching hire. I know I tell Danny all the time, I'm like a film slash like numbers guy. I don't really use vibes too much. At least I try not to. When I'm being serious, I don't like to use vibes too much. But Antonio Pierce is like, he's Raider as hell. So like that's a fine pick. That's a fine head coaching hire in my opinion. But we can move on to another team that had a new head coaching hire this year. Certainly an upgrade from what they had. Los Angeles Chargers have an 8.5 line, which let's just get out the way. That's pretty bonkers. Even when you look at their said favorable schedule, I can't do it. I can't do 9 wins. That schedule is light, especially for a team that has what I think is going to be an elite. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be a good coach. Let's put it out there. Good head coach.
Last time he was in the
quarterback.
NFL, he was an elite coach, and he just won college football. So
yeah, so he's a good head coach. You have a top 5 quarterback in the league. It's just everything else ain't good. Let's just put it that way.
Not quite.
Even last year, though, with the decimated receiving core, with Herbert playing with the ribs and the finger issue, with the decimated offensive line, 19th in dropback EPA and 15th in dropback success rate. That's kind of like pretty impressive on Herbert's part. But it's all the sunshine and rainbows on offense ends there when they're 32nd and 30th in respective run EPA and run success rate. But if there's anything good to come out of this, your run game can only go up because you just dropped probably the worst pure rusher in the league off of your team and Austin Eckler. Fantasy bros, look away. Yes, he's been a bad football player for some time. And then you get Gus Edwards, you get J.K. Dobbins, you get, the damaged goods of the Baltimore Ravens. But those guys are pretty efficient runners when healthy. So they'll have to figure that out. Drafting Joe Alt is, I know, it's not the sexy pick. It's not Neighbors. It's not Odunze, but one of the best prospects in the draft. You could probably argue outside of like my top 3 of Harrison, Williams, May, 4. And he's done really good things in this preseason in his limited reps. You obviously have Slater opposite of him, so you build up the 2 guys who are probably most important to your quarterback. It's all about that interior offensive line developing, receiver wise. Again, it ain't sexy. It's DJ Chark. It's rookie Lad McConkey. It's Quentin Johnston. It's Josh Palmer.
Johnston, breakout season on the right now.
Yeah, again, it ain't too hot on that side of the ball, just to put it nicely. But yeah, floor is yours about the Chargers, man. Whatever your thoughts may be.
I think they have good young running back. On top of the 2 Ravens that he stole from his brother, I think that the tight end room is not the greatest. Got a lot to improve. I think that their X factor is the fact that they have an elite quarterback, and when I say elite, I think top 5. Justin Herbert is one of them ones, as we would say, and it's kind of frustrating that the team around him hasn't been built correctly so far in his career. Every other quarterback in the NFL so far that's young, you go get them receiving help. You get them guys that are going to contribute to the team. And you know what the Chargers have done? The exact opposite. Keenan Allen, gone. Mike Williams, gone.
Well, I think they're almost doing him a good thing because having those guys, it's continuous like, oh, well, they have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, which yes, you are right. When they're on the field, this Chargers offense is unstoppable. Like the one game, or I don't even think Mike Williams was healthy for this one. When they played the Lions, they shot it out with the Lions. The Lions just had the ball last. Like Herbert by himself was going toe to toe with Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. He was literally going toe for toe with them. Just didn't get the ball last. That's the kind of things you can do with Justin Herbert if you just have a dude who can just space things out. You give him Deontay Johnson, this team, they could be a top 10 offense. That's the type of guy that Herbert is. But yeah, and the under is very much in order here.
Yeah, I'm taking the under. I think we both agree here. Barely though. I think they get 7 to 8 wins. I think they can keep it competitive. I think Harbaugh is a very, very, very big addition for them compared to Staley. Mr. doing yoga on the field before the game. Dude, you're a coach.
Yeah, Staley is, it put it simply, not a good coach. Supposed to be a defensive guy. Had one of the worst defenses in the league.
Yep.
But with the Chargers though, yeah. Because if we want to take it from like first 4 games are Raiders, Panthers, Steelers, Chargers. Best case scenario is like 2-2. Unless the Steelers look worse than like I could ever imagine, I still think that would be 2-2. Then you have Broncos, Cardinals, Saints, Browns. Like best case, if we're doing best case scenario, that's like 3-1. I probably say 2-2. I think the Saints defense is a little juiced, not gonna lie, but I think the Cardinals defense is bad enough to where Herbert can carve them up with anybody, and then they're losing to the Browns. So I would probably say 2-2 there as well. This is the only team we're gonna do this, by the way, because we love the Chargers over here, or we love Herbert over here. Let's put it that way. Titans, Bengals, Ravens, Falcons. That could be 0-4. Like that could very well be 0-4. So it puts them at 4-8. And then Chiefs, Bucks, Broncos, Patriots, Raiders. Best case scenario there is 3-2. And even if we give that to them, that's a 7-10 football team. We gave them some best case scenarios, but you do obviously have to split some of them. But I mean, like 7-10 is not a bad year for this team. I don't want to even put it that like this line is outrageous, but that's not a bad year. This team should not even like this. I think honestly, this roster is like a 5-win roster. But the only reason I'm even going to give them 7 wins is because they have Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. But I guess the biggest question is Greg Roman has to develop like a solid modern offense. You're not running out there with, the pistol anymore and just running it down to people's throat with Kaepernick and Gore. And that was kind of like the downfall to some of Lamar's previous playoff woes. I mean, I don't know about last year, but it's the
Let's talk about a guy named Chip Kelly.
What about Chip?
He brought a college football offense to the NFL. It didn't work.
It worked year one. Foles cooked.
It did work year one. Which makes
and it kind of worked year two. Year two, it kind of cooked too. Like he was out there running with Mark Sanchez. It got bad when he brought in DeMarco Murray to run like outside zones and something like that. It's not DeMarco Murray. Like to this day, I feel like I'm one of the only fans who's not mad at DeMarco Murray for that. Because the games where we ran him up the middle, dude, he was finishing the game with like 120 yards. This is what he does. He's not the type of dude to beat you on the edge. So beat you on the edge. Wow. Oh man. But yeah, I mean Jim Harbaugh. Oh yeah, Greg Roman. You've called a good offense before. You just got to be a little more modern. Jim Harbaugh, made Michigan beat Ohio State like 3 times in a row. That's pretty tough. And then you dismantled one of the best offenses in college football to win it all and go out in the sunset and leave the whole school ablaze as you left. But yeah, big things coming from them this year. I'll say this though. If wins weren't a factor, in the best case scenario world, I think Herbert, if he were to get 10 wins with this team, that'd be my MVP.
I would love it.
But that would be like absolute, like him and Kyler would be in the same boat. Like if they were able to get double-digit wins with their rosters, like dude, I do want to announce Herbert and Kyler are my representative quarterbacks on the all agenda team. Just putting that out there.
Mine's Baker and Kyler, so we're in there.
Yeah. Baker was a hard cut, I'm not going to lie. But I think he'll be okay. He'll be okay. We can move on to the final team. Episode probably won't be too long because it's just us two. But Denver Broncos are at a 5.5 line. Their notable upgrades of the offseason is that quarterback who they use Bo Nix as their 12th pick.
Something like that,
yeah.
6 quarterback in 12 picks.
Yeah, which is pretty nuts, which made me believe I'm like, Rattler might go round 2, and that didn't happen. But
yeah.
I actually kind of wanted to go first on this one. Broncos 5.5.
Go first.
I have under. I'm not high on this team at all. I think they'll have a pretty solid rushing offense this year with Javonte Williams. They had a solid rushing offense last year, 13th in success rate, 17th EPA per play. Their defense was, I don't even know how to describe because the back half of the year, like they played well, but they also got 70 hung on them. So there's a lot going on there. They don't have Justin Simmons anymore. And I'm just not a big fan of the offense. Even having a guy like Russ back there who is a vet, older guy, took care of the ball last year. Now you're going to roll out there with Nix, who I trust to do almost a lot of the same stuff. Deep shot, slant, throw that kind of stuff. I just don't think he has the correct weapons around him or the ideal weapons around him as a rookie to excel in year one. I'm not saying I'm writing him off completely because I would hate to do that before you even took a professional stat. Is Cortland Sutton good enough to be the wide receiver 1 of a rookie quarterback's dreams? I don't know. Maybe it's better than it's better than ideal. I don't have a lot of faith in this team. The quarterback room is probably the worst in football. No, I'll put them over the Raiders. I'll say that. The Raiders and the Giants, I'll put them over. But because at least you have a rookie in there. And you have Auburn legend, Jarrett Stidham, who was openly, honestly, super real. He was really upset that he lost the battle because he said he thought he played better and all that. Respect that. Because I'm sick of the PR answers sometimes when it comes to things like that. But I have the under. If you had the over, I don't think that's necessarily a hot take. I just someone's got to win someone's got to win 4 games this year. So I'm sorry, I got to pick somebody.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you something. This team's going to be competing for the first overall pick, not games. They're not, and I feel bad for Peyton because he's a great head coach and he's going to make this team as good as they are. 3 years straight, they're going to be competing for the first overall pick. And their defense has one good player on it. And it's Pat Surtain. They don't have any X factor on defense because a corner can only change the game so much when you don't have D linemen, you don't have linebackers. And then on offense, you got rid of one of your playmakers. The other one is aging. And Cortland Sutton. And Javonte Williams is coming off the ACL, which I love. I think he could bounce back and be very serviceable. Do I think he's a top 10 running back? No. Do I think he could be a top 10 running back? Probably not. So in the reality situation, the Broncos don't have much looking up for them. And it's unfortunate because this team has been stuck in the cycle since Peyton Manning retired.
Yeah, they're just forever looking for that tall white guy who can get it done. I mean, hopefully it pans out to be Bo Nix. Just don't think it will happen. I don't know. I don't know if he has the franchise goods personally. But we really don't have too much on the Broncos. I don't know. Maybe Peyton, I guess is the weirdest way to put it. Develop. He can develop, Bo Nix. I was about to say he could groom Bo Nix.
I'll tell you something. Bo Nix is an upgrade at quarterback, and he's not a downgrade. He's going to do the same thing Russ did. He's going to come in, and he's going to make the average throws. Russ might do actually a little bit better. He might make the correct play. He's not going to elevate your offense. He's not going to downgrade your offense. He's going to come in and just run the offense. Russ is a game manager at this point in his career, and I think that Bo Nix is going to be the same. His arm talent might be better than Russ right now, though. That might be the reality of it.
Is.
So
I'd agree.
But Russ's arm talent when he was younger, one of them ones, man.
Yeah. Come on, like Jalen Hurts' third year when he was hitting the deep shots, to everybody we're like, yo, this is literally Russell Wilson.
Bro, Russ,
Like
you remember Russ
Russ,
was
Russ
supposed to
threw
get traded to the
moonshots, dude.
Eagles?
Yeah, and he didn't want to go. And look how that panned out, Mr. Unlimited. Now you're on
Mr.
the second best Pennsylvania
Unlimited.
team.
Mr. Unlimited.
Sometimes you got to be unlimited. But I guess our final segment, not too much on the Broncos, but
Unlimited L's.
yeah. College football playoff predictions. So if I'm not mistaken, the first 4 seeds are the big like group or the Power 4 conferences, correct?
Yep.
So Ohio State, Georgia are my 1 and 2. Now we need an a ACC winner and then a Big 12 winner. The Big 12 has lost Oklahoma and Texas, and you kind of look around. It's like could I don't think Arizona State is of that caliber. UCF, Cincinnati are like relatively new as well. I mean West Virginia. Well, I didn't know West Virginia was in there. Kind of forgot about them. I don't know
Yeah,
who could win this.
I got Oklahoma State winning it.
Oklahoma State. Okay, we can log that in then for now.
And the ACC.
The ACC. Now I was gonna say, you know me, I was gonna say, Florida State, but they're clearly not gonna win it. Like, wow, they're not gonna win it. So
I
I'm
told you
gonna go with.
DJ was cooked, and boy was I right.
I thought he was gonna be like Bo Nix and Penix. He's just older than everybody, so he's gonna cook. But that didn't seem to be the case. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna go with Cam Ward and the fellas in Miami. I think
That's my
they'll.
exact pick.
Okay.
I think Cam Ward. I think that they are the clear best team. I'm a big fan of Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is what you think DJ is. Super senior, coming into a team that. Come on, man. Cristobal literally threw a game last season by accident. They went for it when they could have kneeled the ball, and like that was the biggest choke job I've ever seen.
Yeah. So before we get into like these other wild card teams, we do have to pick a group of 5 team. I think we're on the same wavelength about this.
Oh, it's got to be Liberty, right?
Oh, we can go Liberty. I was thinking Tulane, but Liberty's fine. Liberty's a fine pick. They're usually out there slugging it. We all know that's actually going to be Temple, but nonetheless, would be Cincinnati. But they wanted to go Hollywood, so okay.
Yeah.
So I would assume the first wild card team will probably be out of the SEC.
Alabama.
Probably gonna, it's gonna be Bama, which is another. I mean, look, they could probably end up winning the conference still, but
they could. And
we'll say Georgia because they're the more talented team on paper.
In no order, I think Ole Miss as well.
I think Ole Miss. Okay, yeah. Well, I can just the seeding won't matter, but yeah,
we'll say Ole Miss. 5 through 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got.
So that would give us.
I got Penn State.
Yeah, this system is literally built for Penn State to get in. If they don't get in, Drew Aller needs to be shipped off to somewhere out of my sight.
I think Texas is a lock. I think Clemson's a lock.
Clemson, really? I did not expect you to say Clemson, but so if Texas is in there, we're at 4 SEC teams. If Texas is in, and that's probably the limit. So we're leaving out teams like Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Tennessee, LSU. But they can't show too much bias. So we have 2 spots left. 2 Big 10 teams, 4 SEC teams, 2 ACC teams, 1 Big 12 team. Do we think another Big 12 team might sneak in?
Nah.
Probably not.
I think it's both Big 10 teams. I think the Oregon makes it.
Okay.
I really like Gabriel out there.
And then do we think Michigan makes it?
I'm leaning Michigan, man. I think that their coaching continue bringing back coaches that are still in the same system and losing Harbaugh. matters. Like we saw, they won games without Harbaugh. I think people are quickly forgetting about Michigan and that they're national champs, and they lost JJ McCarthy. They lost running backs. They still kept their best running back. They're still bringing back a couple players, and they're still returning a lot of their team. So I think Michigan can make. I don't think Michigan's going to be a spearhead to go win the national championship. No, but could they sneak in as like the 10th seed? Yes.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So our official college football playoff prediction before the season really gets started tonight.
Hold on. Let me do a college playoff bracket maker. Let's
You have it pulled up?
let me. I got it. Bang.
So if we have to pick a 1 seed between Oklahoma State or Ohio State and Georgia.
Oh wait, what the hell is this? Never mind.
What is it? A 14-1?
No, this is
Well, anyway, the 1 and 2 seeds we think will be Ohio State, Georgia, some order. 3 and 4 will be. See, I don't know if the top 4 seeds are like legit just the winners of each conference. Like I have no clue. But like if I guess if you're
it
the
is.
winner,
I
if you're
believe
the
it is. I
winner,
believe it is.
okay. And if you're the
So
winner of
it's
your conference, you probably have 1 or 0 losses. So
it's SEC. It's like SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC champ, and then it is the highest ranked group of 5 champion.
Okay. So then 3, I would probably say Miami, 4, Oklahoma State.
Yep.
First team outside of them would most likely be Bama. I think the next team would be Penn State, with Oregon following them up. And then probably go Texas, Ole Miss, Michigan, Clemson, then Liberty.
Yeah, I agree.
And then if I had to give like a first 4 teams out, it would be like Oklahoma, LSU,
Utah,
A&M, Utah. Yep. My thoughts exactly. And then in like the coolest world possible, Colorado. But
no, Wisconsin. Say no.
Wisconsin.
Nebraska,
we want Iowa to make the playoff these days.
We want Nebraska to be the 11th.
Yes, we do. We want little Mahomes to show it to the big stage that he's one of them ones.
Yeah, if we get mini Mahomes making the playoffs year 1, agendas will be pushed.
Yeah, he's gonna get that Caleb Williams hype. Let's do it.
Yes,
with
sir.
Temple legend
Sure.
Matt Rule. Matt Rule is disliked by many, not me. Temple legend. Single-handedly turn around the program. Moment he left, it was over. But yeah, that's the college football playoff predictions. Those were the AFC West predictions. Next week, it's awards, Super Bowl champs, all that stuff, all the good stuff before the Chiefs kick it off against the Ravens on Thursday. You got anything else to say before we get out of here?
I got nothing, man. We'll be seeing who we have for MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, and Walter Payton Man of the Year. We're not picking that because we don't know what they're doing off the field.
Yeah, we don't want to pick who's going to be the best guy. My guy's cooler than your guys. Just spoiler, MVP Jalen Hurts, Offensive Player of the Year Saquon Barkley, Defensive Player of the Year Jalen Carter, Comeback Player of the Year James Bradbury, Coach of the Year Nick Sirianni, Walter Payton Man of the Year Brandon Graham, Executive of the Year Howie Roseman, Coordinator of the Year Kellen Moore, Offensive Rookie of the Year Anaya Smith, Defensive Rookie of the Year Quinion Mitchell. I have the script. We're cooking.
They said one thing I'll end it with. It says Steelers upcoming storylines. Will they trade for Deebo Samuel fall/winter of 2024-2025? Spring/summer of 2025. Will they pay George Pickens? Are you ready for this? So I'm definitely ready for
the
next saga.
Y'all are y'all trading for Deebo Samuel? I'm crying, dude.
Man, trade for Deebo. I might unfriend myself from the franchise.
Unfriend myself. Listen, I'll let you officially bandwagon over, but you do have to get rid of all your Steelers stuff.
If we trade for Deebo, it's burnt.
Burning your stuff. I don't know about burning it. I was gonna say take it to like Goodwill or something.
I'm taking that to a bonfire, man.
Dude, they'll be
trade for
stoked. They'll fight.
trade for Debo. Come on, man.
Come on, man. Take the stuff to Goodwill. Don't do that.
DBBO.
All right, man. But from Tone and DC, again, we want to remind you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a 5-star like and review for the audio platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple Pods, whatever you do. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next week.
Peace.